back out. We're gonna get text messages. Just tell them to refresh and try to go back in.
Well, it's on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook never lost. We
Facebook
lost
was
YouTube,
fine.
but it's back
YouTube.
on now, so they'll have to go out and go back in on
All right,
YouTube.
very good.
Yeah, we got one person back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
I'm gonna leave YouTube up too, so I can keep an eye on it.
UB-Tubi?
It's starting to go wonky again.
Say it ain't so. It's a wonky tube.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we lost it again.
Yep. So
It was giving us problems this morning.
if people start texting, we're gonna need to tell them to migrate over to Facebook if they can. Sorry, guys, technology.
It's wonderful, isn't it, huh? Oh, sorry.
Hey, your volume.
I'm working on it, dude.
That's usually me, though.
I usually don't do this because it is
back.
what it is.
There it goes again.
It's out right now.
All right. Well,
I'm just telling people try Facebook. So
okay. So you're
We got one person on Facebook watching, so
you're recording though, right?
no, because I forgot to hit record. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay. Hey, no problem. That is.
So
what
we
I'm
will
here
get it out if we got to republish it. We
Yeah,
can get it back
so
out.
that's what I'm here for.
well. So what are we going to talk about while we're waiting?
Well, if we're recording, we'll wait about 30 seconds and then we're going to go. And it'll be posted up later. I mean, I don't know what else to do. It's working now on YouTube. It's a little wonky wonk, but it's, I see Scott moving around. Wave, Scott. Let's see if it's working.
About 20-second delayed on there.
No, it locked up again.
Yeah, Facebook's down. Something's going on.
Facebook or YouTube?
YouTube, sorry.
Yep. Yeah, Diane says it's in and out on YouTube. We'll just have to go and then we'll just post it when we
Yeah.
get done.
Yep.
So
All right, let's read verses 1 through 12.
all right.
I'd
So
like to do that.
I can read. I don't care.
You can read?
I can read.
Proud of you, man.
They don't care.
I've come a long way. All right, so chapter 3, verse 1. How great is the love the Father has lavished on us, that we, what is sinful, is of the devil. Because the devil has been sinning, one who is born of God will continue to sin, because God's seed remains in him. He cannot go on sinning, because he has been born of God. This is how we know who the children of God are, and who the children of the devil are. Anyone who does not do what is right is not a child of God, nor anyone who does not love his brother. This is the message you heard from the beginning. We should love one another. Do not be like Cain, who belonged to the evil one and murdered his brother. And why did he murder him? Because his own actions were evil and his brothers were righteous.
All right. Good stuff. Ben, you want to take a crack?
Sure. So, just as John has been doing at the beginning of this letter through now, I mean, he's really drawing a line. There are two sides. You are going to be of God or you are not. And he continues through here, but the way he starts chapter 3, he starts with reminding everyone how great it is that we are called children of God. And I read something today that really, really hit me. We thank God for saving us from our sin, but we sometimes neglect to think about He didn't just save us from our sin; He adopted us in as children.
Yep.
So, as children of God, as a child of God, you should look like the Father. You should live as, I think about I'm going to, sidetrack just a tad, but things I'm going through with my family right now, the family values and obedience, and when we leave, when we're somewhere, it should be recognizable that you are, because I get that feel a lot through here. When you are a child of God, you are adopted in. We didn't deserve it. We were saved, but when we became children of God, we should be obedient to the Father and look like the family. It should be evident. How to live practically, John has been letting us know, really just repeating some things that he has heard from Jesus himself. And he's just relaying it to these churches. So, thinking about being a child of God, for this reason, the world does not know us because it did not. If you don't know him, then the world, they're not going to they're going to recognize you, but they're not going to recognize the Father so much because they don't even know who he is. So again, I just see a lot of I'm going to just briefly go through without getting too deep. There's just a distinction. You're either going to be of righteousness, a child of God, or you are going to be of lawlessness in this sinful life. And there's some things in here that just to touch on, he makes John writes in here, no one who sins has seen him or knows him. He talks about, not living in sin or being in sin or doing, the grammar and the verbiage that he's using is not that we won't sin, because if you go back to the very beginning, if we say that we are without sin, then we're lying. The grammar in here is talking about living a life in sin and constantly, it's a lifestyle. It's not a slip, because of course we are going to sin. We are going to mess up, but we're not going to live in it. He tells us that, in him there is no sin. He took away that sin, but we don't live in it. We're not of sin, and we're not going to be, it's not a habitual lifestyle that we live in. Because, again, that kind of lifestyle is of the devil. If you practice sin, it's of the devil. And again, the word practice means that's what you're doing. That's the lifestyle that you're living. So yeah, I'm not going to get too much deeper because I know you guys, I want to give you guys time to get, a lot deeper into, but there is a way that you are supposed to live as a child of God.
The family traits, the family characteristics. Now that with what Jesus is talking about over in John chapter 8, I'll pick up and just read a few verses. In verse 41 of John chapter 8, Jesus says, "You are doing the deeds of your father." They said to him, "We are not born of fornication. We have one Father, even God." Jesus said to them, "If God were your Father, you would love me. For I proceeded forth and have come from God, for I have not even come on my own initiative, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I am saying?" And then he says, "You are of your father, the devil, and you want to do the desires of your father. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. Whenever he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own nature, for he is a liar and the father of lies." And so, Ben, you're absolutely 100% correct that we are either a child of Satan or we're
Children of God, such as you are. You are. You have a new identity. I don't know today, because we've grown up in the culture of, oh, we're children of God, and it's normal. That's not the normal language back then. I mean, God coming out of that culture, any type of worship, it seems so distant.
Mm.
And you owed so much to God, and where God was going to provide the care, and God was going to provide the love, and that Jesus came and took sin from us.
Mm.
Like that language, I don't know if we quite feel how amazing it is. It's this product of being reborn. But I'm also glad you picked up on different, and you have to be so controlled that you lock yourself away in a room so you don't fall into sin. Those extremes that people were doing back then of how they were trying to do life. And John is saying, no, you're going to do life like everybody else, but you're going to be so different. It's going to be noticeable. Like people can see that you're not the same, but they're not going to know who you are. Like the world just will not understand you.
Mm-hmm.
You will seem weird. You will seem alien. You will seem odd. So just get used to it. But he ties together this whole thing of righteousness, of holiness, because this whole idea of being pure, the root word is hagnos, it's hagios. Like you're going to, and fixing it and repenting and going to God and say, here, God, let me offer you my best. I didn't offer you the best before. Let me offer you the best so that I can be acceptable to you too. Instead, he killed his brother. We're horrified at that. But God is like, it's just as bad to say that you hate someone in the church. It may not be easy to love everyone in the church. In fact, I'm convinced it's not easy to love everyone in the church. But we're still called to, and if we don't, that's a pretty good sign of where our hearts are at.
Mm.
Well, let me just throw this in too, George, since you went back to Cain and Abel. Let's just say he did give his best. But is that this? But if our heart is not right, if our attitude is...
Because I think in modern culture, I don't murder people. I don't steal. I don't beat people up. I don't do all those evil things.
You don't even eat fish.
I don't even eat fish. But then God comes along and he goes, no, it's more than that. Like, okay, do you love people? And that's the distinctive in the church. Like, one of the reasons people would join the church back in the first couple of eat dog, and everyone looked out for themselves, and the poor were horribly oppressed, and no one took care of anybody. And then along comes Jesus, who teaches his followers to live in a different way.
That's
3
why...
feet. 3 feet.
That's why this
6 feet.
concept of, well, I may have terrible, sinful attitude.
Because you can't have true biblical love without that relationship. So whoever you're having a tough time with right now, having that kind of a relationship, pray, repent, and work on it. Work on spending time with them.
Hey, let's hang out here just a
Hey,
second.
Mike, do you want to? Everyone's going to call up Mike and want to go do coffee in the next 2 weeks.
I ain't, because I don't drink coffee.
I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Yep.
You weren't gonna fellowship. You were gonna hang
Yeah,
out
like,
with people who are not like you.
Yeah, well, like we said, it was very tribal. Like,
Yep.
it wasn't kind of like it is. It's not like it is today, but it was very much you stayed in your own.
Small little
Yeah.
group.
Yep.
So,
All right. Well,
Hey, we've got just a couple more minutes. Let's go on just a little bit. So, where do you want to go? By the way, did we get back on, Scott? Are we?
No, YouTube is still off.
Okay,
Facebook's
just
on.
curious. Yeah.
Everybody on that I've been talking to is on Facebook now, so
Okay.
just watching on Facebook.
Okay. And you know that he appeared in order to take away sins, and in him, there is no sin. Here's coming up on my favorite word, so we got to get there real quick, okay? No one who abides in him sins. No one who sins.
and out of that well, that very deep well of God, something's going to flow out of you. That's how I'm going to know your fruit.
Yeah,
what I see in your life.
yeah, absolutely. Ben, you got anything else to add before we
No,
give us some questions?
I'll say something about verse 8.
Yeah,
You know, this statement that John makes, the Son of God appeared for this purpose, to destroy the works of the devil. You know, we see, you know, this was what Jesus' purpose was.
Yeah.
And how God feels about sin and how he feels about these works of the devil. Like, and this is the power of Jesus, that he is to destroy the works of the devil. All of it will be gone. So again, if you're on one side or the other, that day of judgment, you're either going to be with the family or, you know, the purpose of Jesus is to destroy the works of the devil. And if you're of the devil, you know, it's, but there's so much encouragement. There's so much, you know, we obviously can't do it alone. We can't do it on our own. We have God and we have Jesus to and like you guys were talking about, if you're not abiding and you're not doing it, you can't. So it's about, and John has been practical. This is how we abide. This is how we do it.
mhm.
So yeah, it's really encouraging.
How many times have we read that word since chapter 1? Abide. It's one of John's favorites because it was one of Jesus's favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Remaining, abiding, connecting. These are words of relationship, words of connection, words of unity, such as Jesus said, you know, he prays that we are one, united with him as he is with the Father. It's this unity concept. And so we cannot do this on our own. We can't be sinless without Christ. We can't do the good things that he's calling us to do without Christ. We have to abide in him. So yeah, really good stuff. Well, again, it's terrible that we are having such a difficulty, but let's go ahead and put the questions up.
All right, I'll read them. First question is, God's love for us is so great that when we surrender to him, we become his children. What does it mean to you to be a child of God? Question 2, because we have a future hope in Jesus, we are to live a life now pursuing holiness, and anyone who practices sin practices lawlessness. How are you living so that you become more like Christ? Excuse me.
Bless you.
Question 3. Verses 4 through 10 shows that there is a difference in how believers and non-believers live that can be seen. What are the ways your life reflects an abiding relationship with Jesus? And the fourth question is, one way we show our authentic relationship with God is our loving relationships with other believers. To not love your spiritual brother is satanic, of the evil one. How do you make sure that you are loving your brothers and sisters in Christ?
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we'll pick back up. We'll kind of touch on this again next week,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll pick up and continue on. But spend some time in there in your group. Answers for those questions. Be honest, transparent. Again, remember, till we meet again, Jesus loves you, and
So do we.
So do we.
bye-bye.